The night my world fell apart, the air was thick with the scent of expensive perfume and cheap lies. I remember every detail. The clinking of champagne glasses, the low murmur of laughter, and the way his hand rested possessively on her back. My husband and my best friend, they stood there, bathed in the soft glow of the party lights, thinking I was oblivious. But I wasn't. I saw the shared glances, the secret smiles. Betrayal is a cold, sharp thing. It doesn't just break your heart, it shatters your reality. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply watched, and in the ruins of my marriage, a seed of something else began to grow. Not hatred, not yet, but a cold, calculated resolve. They had taken everything from me. It was time to take something back. Revenge, they say, is a dish best served cold. But they never tell you how long it takes to prepare. For me, it took a year. A year of playing the part of the heartbroken but forgiving wife. A year of swallowing my pride, of smiling through gritted teeth as she, my supposed best friend, would console me, her eyes filled with fake sympathy. They thought I was weak, broken, and I let them. While they were busy celebrating their victory, I was studying, not books, but them. I learned his business dealings, every shady contract, every hidden asset. I learned her deepest insecurities, the fear she confessed to me in moments of false friendship. They had handed me the very weapons I would use against them. My grief became my camouflage, and my pain, my fuel. The first step was patience. I had to wait for the perfect moment, the one where everything they had built would be most vulnerable. My husband, let's call him Alex, was a man who built his empire on a foundation of confidence, or rather, overconfidence. He believed he was untouchable. His company, a shining beacon of success in the tech world, was his pride and joy. But I knew its dirty little secret. A major software launch was on the horizon, one he'd sunk millions into, one that was supposed to make him a legend. He'd cut corners, of course, using a cheaper, less secure coding framework to maximize profits. He'd bragged about it to me in the past, a fatal mistake. And my former best friend, Sarah, her ambition was her weakness. She'd recently been promoted to head of marketing, a position Alex had arranged for her. She was desperate to prove herself, to show the world she deserved it, not that it was a gift from her lover. Her entire reputation rested on the success of this launch. They were a house of cards, and I was about to become the wind. The plan was simple in its design but complex in its execution. It had two phases. Phase 1, financial ruin. I started by anonymously leaking details of the software as security flaws to a niche but respected tech blog. I didn't dump everything at once, just a taste. A small, credible whisper that would grow into a roar. The day the article dropped, panic began to ripple through their company. The stock dipped. Alex was furious, scrambling, blaming incompetent underlings. He never once suspected me. How could he? I was at home baking cookies and redecorating the living room, the picture of a woman moving on. While he was distracted, I made my next move. Using the knowledge I'd gained, I funneled information about his undeclared offshore accounts to a freelance investigative journalist I'd contacted months earlier. The key was to make it look like an internal whistleblower, someone disgruntled with his leadership. The walls were beginning to close in. Phase 2 was personal. It was for Sarah. Financial ruin was end enough for the woman who held my hand and told me I'd find love again, all while sleeping with my husband. I knew Sarah had a rival at work, a man named Mark, who felt she had stolen the promotion from him. He was ambitious and bitter, the perfect, unwitting pawn. I created a fake digital trail, subtle but convincing, that made it appear Sarah was the one leaking company secrets. I planted emails, manipulated server logs, things I'd learned from a cybersecurity course I'd secretly taken online. I made it look like she was trying to sabotage Alex to clear the way for Mark, feeding him information to make herself look good. I sent an anonymous tip to the company's board of directors, complete with my fabricated evidence. It was a masterpiece of deception. The board, already reeling from the financial scandals, needed a scapegoat. And I had just served one up on a silver platter. The day it all came crashing down was a Tuesday. I remember the weather was beautiful, sunny with a light breeze. The irony was not lost on me. I was sitting in a small cafe across the street from Alex's gleaming office building when my phone started buzzing. The news was breaking everywhere. Alex's company was under federal investigation for fraud. The stock had plummeted into oblivion. Then came the second wave of alerts. The company had fired its head of marketing, Sarah, for corporate espionage. I watched as she was escorted out of the building, a box in her arms, her face a mask of disbelief and horror. A few minutes later, Alex came storming out, his face purple with rage, hounded by a swarm of reporters. Their eyes met across the street. He saw her, the woman he'd risked everything for, now a pariah. She saw him, the man who was supposed to be her ticket to the top, now a disgraced failure. In that one look, I saw their toxic alliance crumble into dust. They turned on each other, right there on the pavement. The shouting, the accusations, it was better than I could have ever imagined. I sat there, sipping my latte, a ghost from their past they had long since forgotten. They had destroyed my life, and in return, I had orchestrated their self-destruction. I hadn't needed to throw a single punch. I just gave them enough rope, and they did the rest. They were so consumed by their own greed and lies that they couldn't see the architect of their downfall sitting in plain sight. As I watched the chaos unfold, a feeling washed over me. It wasn't triumph, not exactly. It wasn't happiness. It was a quiet, profound sense of peace, a sense of closure. I had taken the shattered pieces of my life and built something new. Not a life of revenge, but a life of strength. I had learned what I was capable of. I had discovered a resilience I never knew I possessed. I paid for my coffee and walked away. I didn't look back. Their story was over. Mine was just beginning. Vengeance wasn't the end goal. It was the process. It was the journey of taking back my power, of refusing to be a victim. It was about proving to myself that even after the deepest betrayal, I could not only survive but rebuild myself from the ashes, stronger and smarter than before. I walked into the sunshine, leaving the wreckage of their lives behind me. The world felt different, brighter. The air smelled not of perfume and lies, but of freedom. And for the first time in a long, long time, I was truly, completely free. This story isn't just about revenge. It's a reminder that your greatest pain can become your greatest power. It's about finding the strength within yourself to rewrite your own narrative, to turn an ending into a new beginning. Sometimes, the best way to get over someone is to get even, not by stooping to their level, but by rising so far above it they can't even reach you anymore. What do you think? Was this revenge justified, or did it go too far? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this community. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Every story has a lesson, and every experience makes us stronger. Until next time, stay strong, stay savvy, and never let anyone dim your shine. See you in the next video.
I didn't want to scream. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want any drama. I wanted dignity. And I wanted the truth. So I planned a moment where they couldn't deny it, where they couldn't lie, where they couldn't try to manipulate me. A moment where the truth would just have to stand on its own. My best friend, Lena's birthday was coming up. She was planning a small dinner with just a few close friends. She invited me, and I accepted. Not because I wanted to celebrate her, but because I needed closure. And honestly, I wanted witnesses. The restaurant was perfect, intimate, candlelit, quiet. The ideal setting for a real conversation. Lena sat right across from me and she smiled. I'm really glad you came, she said. I calmly replied, me too. She looked so relieved. I was worried you were still upset, she said. Oh, I am, I told her. Her smile faltered just a little. But I'm also ready to move on, I added. She visibly relaxed. That's good, she said. You deserve to be happy, I just nodded. You know, I said, looking her straight in the eye, I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately. She nodded back. About what? She asked. About loyalty, I said. I saw her eyes flicker. And trust, I added. She started shifting uncomfortably in her seat. And betrayal, I finished. She swallowed hard. Is everything okay? She asked, her voice a little shaky. I managed a small smile. That depends, I said. Are you ready to tell me the truth? She completely froze. What truth? She stammered. I didn't say another word. I just pulled out my phone, unlocked it, opened the folder I had prepared, and slid it across the table toward her. The color drained from her face. Her smile was completely gone. Her hands started to shake. She stared at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. The photos told the whole story. Do you want to explain this? I asked, my voice still completely calm. She just burst into tears. I didn't mean for this to happen, she sobbed. It just happened. I stayed silent, letting her words hang in the air. I didn't want to hurt you, she cried. I let out a soft, bitter laugh. You didn't want to hurt me, I said. You slept with my fiancé. She cried even harder. I was scared, she said. I didn't want to lose you. I leaned back in my chair. You already did, I told her. Then she confessed everything. How it all started weeks before my wedding. It began with emotional support, which turned into an emotional connection, and then full-blown emotional betrayal. And then physical betrayal. She told me what he said. He told me he wasn't happy. He said he felt trapped. He said you wouldn't understand him. He said he felt more alive with me. I listened to all of it. Not because I cared one bit about what he felt, but because I needed to hear just how deep the betrayal went. When she was done, I looked her right in the eyes. You watched me plan my wedding, I said. You helped me choose my dress. You hugged me and told me everything would be okay when he left me. And all that time, you were the reason he left. She just nodded through her tears. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I stood up from the table. You didn't just lose me as a friend, I said. You lost me as a person. And then I walked away. I didn't call Ethan, my now ex-fiancé. I didn't text him. I just sent him one single message, I know. He replied almost instantly. Know what? I sent him the same photos I showed Lena. He didn't reply. A minute later, he called. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. His actions had already said it all. Within a few days, their relationship became public knowledge. Our friends started noticing. People started asking questions. They tried to control the story. Of course, she was already over him. They weren't really together anymore. It just happened. But the truth doesn't need a defense. It just needs time. And time always reveals everything. Our mutual friends started to distance themselves from them. Not because of gossip, but because of integrity. Because decent people don't trust people who betray others. Not just in relationships, but in life. Their reputations changed. Their social circles shrank. And I have to imagine that their new happiness became pretty fragile. Because any relationship that's built on betrayal is built on incredibly unstable ground. Now, healing for me wasn't quick. It wasn't easy, and it definitely wasn't a straight line. I cried. I was furious. I doubted myself. I blamed myself. I questioned everything about my life and my judgment. But slowly, I started to rebuild. Not my relationship, not my friendship. Myself. I started asking myself the hard questions. Why did I trust so blindly? Why did I ignore the red flags that were probably there? Why did I give people such easy access to my heart without having stronger boundaries? I wasn't doing this to blame myself, but to learn. Because true healing isn't just about moving on from the pain. It's about growing from it. I never exposed them online. I didn't post screenshots or drag their names through the mud. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. Because I've learned that sometimes the strongest revenge is simply walking away with your dignity intact. Months later, I met someone new. It wasn't because I was looking for a replacement, but because I was finally healed enough to be open to something real again. He was kind. He was honest. He was consistent. He was emotionally available. He didn't hide things. He didn't lie. He didn't manipulate me. He didn't betray me. And meeting him taught me something so powerful. Not everyone is like them. Not everyone is broken in that way. So if you've ever been betrayed, please remember this. It is not your fault. You didn't cause it. You certainly didn't deserve it. People don't betray you because you're weak or lacking in some way. They betray you because they are selfish. And that is on them, not you. I didn't have to destroy them or ruin their lives. I just removed myself completely from their world. And that was enough. Because people like that don't deserve access to your heart. They don't deserve your time, your trust, or any part of your future. He cancelled our wedding. She pretended to comfort me. But in the end, I lost a fiancé and I lost a best friend. But you know what? I gained myself back. And that's a trade I'd make every single time. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, please subscribe for more content on healing and self-discovery.